That means long term with the political aims of their defeating Russia, it's not going to change. Tactically, it might change. Maybe they will teach the Zaluzhny dude to go out and say correct words. Guess what? Trump says correct words all the time. We know it's a complete BS. That's what they're only capable of doing in Washington and in London and in Europe, for that matter. So it makes no strategic difference. Strategic aim, they call it strategic. It's not, they don't have strategy to achieving it, but strategic aim, long-term, global aim of the West is to defeat Russia. Russians know that, but obviously nobody in Washington heard about Mr. Svechin or let alone read any serious Russian thinkers. The list of Russian demands as presented by the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation never changed. The only thing changed is the situation on the ground, and that's it. The root causes, they soon will Putin, Rov, Zahar, everybody will be like, they will have a blister on their tongue repeating this. Root causes. What are root causes? Expansion of NATO. What is basically where NATO has to go? To the borders of 1997. What is the deal with Ukraine? Totally demilitarized, maybe some small armed forces, practically armed police, basically, that's what it is, and neutral. And now Russians say, actually, even EU, they say, nah, EU is not on plans anymore. It's complete loss of the trust in the institutions. And when you have even, it's not left, it's BS. The Democrats are not left, they're just globalist neoliberal party. But even when some of them say this must stop, you voted for those people. You voted for pedophiles all your life. And there are all on both sides in Republican and Democrat party. Look at the Congress, good Lord. They're creep upon creep sitting there. We know they're corrupt. They are blackmailed, most likely by Israel. Look at Lindsey Graham. The guy is the moral freak. I mean, but fine people of South Carolina continue to elect this idiot. And what can I say? Yeah, it's collapse. It's basically disintegration of the political system. With it, it's actually the disintegration of the governance. Nobody can govern this country anymore effectively. It's not moving anyway. It's just there's an inertia. Good, fine people on the ground here. They're doing their thing. They go to work. They work and produce some value, some of them at least. So they pay taxes, and that's about it. The rest of it, it's the other disgusting political theater, which is built around the most vile, the most criminal thing you can possibly think. Civilization, which throws its children at the altar of perversion, certainly doesn't have the right to exist. And this is what is happening. It's imploding. So then, of course, the Pantsir already has a much longer range, and they have the arsenal with what's called the missile, which is it's called Nail. It's very cheap, but it's very effective against drones. And of course, they have the regular missile, which operates up to 30 kilometers now. So that's already pushing it, but it's short range. Middle range, such as Buk M3, they already go to 70, 80 kilometers, and they can shoot pretty much most of it. But of course, the monsters are such as S-400 and 9 and 68 missile, especially if it's used there. It can shoot down targets in excess of 400 kilometers. And some of those planes, which the Ukrainian Air Force lost, they could have been shot down by S-400, not to speak about, obviously, Su-57 or Su-35, which carry hypersonic R-37 with 400-kilometer range. United States doesn't have levers. What it's going to do? Start war with Russia? Good luck. Do they want to start war with China? Good luck with that. No, the guy lies. He lies nonstop. Misrepresentation is lying by definition. So what can I say? We're discussing, again, kindergarten child. He's 79. He never grew up. His level of maturity is that of the 18-year-old bully from some campus or for the retards. And so there you go. We're constantly discussing the guy who we have to, everybody, Russians don't pay attention to him anymore. Just whatever he says. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Next day, he will say that, I just went to Mars, found new resources, mineral resources there. We're going to occupy Mars or something like that. He can make up whatever he wants. And at this stage, he has become the embarrassment for the United States. That's the funny thing. In terms of Biden, everybody knew he was zombie. He had no brain left. He had the hands of his wife, who's also dumb as a stump, doctor in education, Dr. Jill, his wife hand and a hand of Sullivan and Blinken up his ass and manipulating him. He didn't have a real thought about himself, which already discredited American political system around the world. But now we have the guy who is, I don't know, the kid. Yeah, that's who he is. Is it sad? Yeah, it's catastrophe for the United States. But there are no other people. Trump obviously we have to consider his mental state, and we know he's a extreme narcissist, and especially like you said, all those missiles which do not exist. He invents them like as he goes. Slower missiles and higher speed, high velocity missile, whatever he is talking about. But no, Europeans are brainwashed, most of their population anyway. I'm not saying that all of them are, but most, majority. And it's classic Europe. Europe wants war with Russia because obviously their elites, they can see how the power is slipping through their fingers, and they're whipping their constituents, whipping up into this frenzy. Mr. Lavrov talks about frenzy. It's a Russia-hating frenzy. Europe wants war. It will get a war. And we have to say it now openly that there will be what we would call war. Those idiots, considering what you consider their armed forces and which are pathetic, honestly, and their military industry, which is also pathetic. But they still believe that they somehow can gather those armies, they can draw all those kinds of their European youth, march against Moscow, because Russians, those subhumans, that's how majority of population of Europe views Russians, sit on those more than third of the world resources. Obviously, by definition, Europeans have to have them. They don't understand that it's 2025, it's not 1939. German culture, as in general, Western European culture, is highly conformist. So it's very easy to manipulate them. And again, they voted for that. And the only people who evidently have some survival instincts left for them are in former GDR, because Soviets never killed the Germanness of Germans there. They obviously feed them into their, so to speak, socialist framework, socialist mode of production. But there was a German culture. There was always praise of the German culture, ranging from great composers to philosophers and things of this nature, literature, what have you. In West Germany, it's completely different now, and they vote time after time to people who screw them over, and they are basically, they're mentally unstable people, and then scratch the German. I know it shouldn't be the broad brush painted over the broad brush, but it's true. Scratch the German, you'll get the SS officer. Look at the elite. They are all relatives of either SS or Wehrmacht. And their phrase of Zhukov to Marshal Rokossovsky in Berlin, people say it never happened, but actually some say that they heard it. It did happen, some sources which have been close to them, that Zhukov stated to Rokossovsky, we liberated them from, and they will hate us for this. But he managed to, by BSing people again, to get to the office. But then again, look at the quality of the US presidents, starting the last president who was a president, you may disagree with him, was George H.W. Bush Sr. And after that, what do we have? Free Willy, probably pedophile, Clinton. Then we have Dummy W, neocons. We have Obama, who screwed up country so badly. And instead of addressing serious economic problems, he just made other people who actually precipitated this crisis, he made them even richer. So then you have Trump, and then we have Biden. Look at this. It's a panopticon. It's a circus figures. And it was Clinton who was presiding over the signing law of the Proposition 4444 of the ascendance of China to World Trade Organization, essentially the vacuum cleaner, which legally, after Congress passed it, legally sucked out practically most of the industries to China. And that's when it all started in earnest. And you look at this, good Lord, why don't we ask Ronald McDonald to be the next president? At least, you know what, he may lower the prices on the Big Mac in McDonald's. That's about it. Will not harm you any more than what those people are doing. And that's the result. Narcissism is not a bug, but the feature of Washington, D.C. And this goes for Europeans too. They have the kind of extended range 500. It's high supersonic. It's not hypersonic. High supersonic or ballistic missile, essentially. It can correct itself during the flight, but again, it's a standard. Russians had actually Torem-2, which is the short-range air defense complex, shooting down those ATACMS. So it's a standard together with HIMARS. It's a standard target for Russian air defense, and the United States not even in the same universe. Forget about galaxy in terms of air defense with Russia. And in terms of missiles, what do you have? You have standard intercontinental ballistic missiles, such as Minuteman III, but of course a strategic weapon. But other than that, good old Tomahawk, JASSM. They will make JASSM the extended range, which is about 900 kilometers. It's nowhere near in the Russian capabilities. And again, just to give you an example, XBD, which is KHBD, which is already serially produced and is on the first line bombers using it, has a range in excess of 8,500 kilometers. So the Kinjal has the 2,000 kilometers plus. Zircon has 1,500 kilometers. And these are missiles which could be used also as anti-shipping missiles. There's nothing like this in. They are still, this old story, which lasts now, for 5 years probably, long-range hypersonic weapon. They still are deploying it, and they still cannot put it in. So those are already very serious missile systems, and they can shoot. They have arsenal of different missiles for different applications, and they can shoot anything, including their ballistic missiles of their intermediate range, up to 5,000 kilometer range when they launched from 5,000 kilometer. Many people do not understand. They shoot them at probably the terminal phase of the 125 to 200 kilometers and elevation above 25 kilometers. But it is S-500, which has full-blown anti-intercontinental missile capability. That means it shoots multiple independent re-entry vehicles of the intercontinental ballistic missiles. That is, the United States has nothing which even thought is a joke compared to that. And there's all kinds of other things that, and again, it also matters how you integrate this. And Russians have fully integrated multi-layer, what is called echelon air defense. And NATO doesn't have anything even remotely comparable. These are the guys who are running the country. And guess what Afghanistan is? Afghanistan is very interesting, so to speak, entrance to the Eurasian subcontinent, if you wish. And Indians were operating in Afghanistan for a while too. That may help and swing Indians, depending on how you approach whatever would be developed there, in favor of BRICS, obviously. But India has one thing which is very serious for India. It's weapons and technology. And this is primarily Russian. They buy all kinds of things, including this famous, utterly corrupted deal with Russia, and which was oh my God, that thing is epic, so many years. But what can I say? They are tricky, and they may say today one thing, and then they will change their opinion. But you know what? I'm not obviously a Russian diplomat. I obviously do not pretend to be the specialist in India. But from what I heard, and I know some Indians, there are many of those Indians whom I know, they say that no, we still have a very good relationship with Russia. We really view Russia as our ally. And so that might play the role in the final decision of India, which will continue to play both sides. Make no mistake. They will try to avoid taking sides as long as possible. There are some certain group of the imbeciles from London, and they think that Zaluzhny somehow is going to, be more, cooperative on this. Yeah, sure, the guy is a butcher. He is not very bright, but sure, they can play with those figures. Again, you have to understand, average Washington's or London strategists, so to speak, the only thing they can do is basically the personalities. They shuffle personalities. They do not understand what policy is. Policy, not politics. There's a tremendous difference between politics and the policy. And so none of them is capable. If you look at all those think tanks, all those advisory boards, all those national security councils, these are amateurs. They never encountered any kind of the serious event in their life, such as the scale of the special military operation, and they go back to what they did always. We remember that actually British, Churchill especially, were promoting Charles de Gaulle tremendously during World War II, to the point that Charles de Gaulle actually complained that, you know what, I'm being marketed as that piece of soap. So that's the quote. He was like, and the same is happening here. They think that, yeah, somehow they can put this guy somewhere in the position of power in Ukraine and something's going to change. Nothing is going to change strategically. So the trauma of being absolutely demolished by the Red Army, it never went away. And yeah, then NATO, first, NATO, all NATO doctrines have been written by Wehrmacht officers, Wehrmacht generals. And of course, it was used essentially to turn Germany into what it is today by the West. And Germany is the first candidate of the European country to be basically, I don't know what's going to happen. I know militarily what's going to happen. I know what it will take to do this. But Germany is essentially lost. And German nation, as we know it, is essentially no more, except for those fanatics in Berlin, and most of them anyway, be them from Christian Democratic Union or SPD, it doesn't really matter. Really, they are fanatics and they are globalist party, and most of them, they do not understand the war. They don't understand how it all works. The only thing they know is how to perpetuate this suicidal agenda, cultural agenda, which also, I would say it's cultization of the nation. And German people can continue to drink beer and go watch their football matches in Bundesliga, and that's about the level of they need, their cattle, basically. So I know it sounds very insulting, but there are people in Germany, Germans who understand what is happening, who suffer because of that, and who try to do something about it. They are minority. It's ridiculous, okay? And that's when I say that United States lost the arms race. It lost it by a mile. I'm not exaggerating, probably by 2 miles. And in terms of missile weaponry, it's nowhere near Russia. It's not even funny. It's not even fair to compare the capabilities and arsenal. And when you look attentively at Russian missile arsenal, and you will see yourself that, my God. And in terms of artillery, I'm not going to go there too. And there are other things which require a very, so to speak, focused special conversation about them. For example, Tor M2, although it has now extended capabilities, it is essentially what used to be the army or troop air defense. This thing just runs together with you, with your, say, battalion column. You can have a couple of those complexes which are there. They can shoot while moving, which is very interesting thing. They have the range of up to, today, I believe it's up to 14 kilometers, and the elevation of up to 7 to 8. They can certainly shoot the aircraft, but primarily they are good at the shooting all kinds of the drones, and of course, the things like cruise missiles, especially low-flying objects, order of it, not several times, order of magnitude more than whole NATO, United States, including combined producers. And just think about it. And they cannot understand, they cannot wrap their brains around it, because again, if you grew up from the real estate market in New York, which is essentially gotcha, that's the only thing. And it's a mafia-ridden, essentially, sector of New York economy, if you wish. What do you expect? He thought it was like he's a godfather and everybody has to admire him. He won the second term. And again, for him, that's the achievement. Whatever the policies, whatever he tries to do and achieve something tangible for the country, let alone the international arena, I would freaking smack Yahu's face or just crush the chair on his head when he was humiliatingly, it's like mocking, gave him the letter to Trump that he will be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. This is the guy who supports genocide in Gaza. What do we know? Come on. That's and now, of course, we know the other thing, which are Epstein files and how they handled as amateurs that they are. And of course, they're hiding things. What can I say? Let other people deal with this who know more about it. But yeah, news on that front are not good for Trump. They are simply not good. And the people who surround him. So it's He's a loser in reality. The Obama administration was an organized crime group, which was also in DNC, and anybody who had half brain functional, even 1% of the brain functional in 2016, 2017 already knew it was a complete spectacle. And it's, oh, hello, it took what, 10 years to almost 10 years to figure this out. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew that it was sabotage. It was the state high treason. It was the against Constitution. The question here is, yeah, they presented as if we didn't know that. Who is going to answer? Trump again BS's public that Obama should go behind bars, which he should actually, including with those DNC creeps. No, he will do nothing again. It is all about this political theater. They're throwing the bone to MAGA crowd, which obviously is very dissatisfied with how United States is a slap beach of Israel and how it is controlled by Israel and Trump administration and Epstein file. So the country, the political system, which is infested with the pedophiles and foreign intel assets, and which cannot defend its own children, make your own conclusions. What kind of country is that? I've lived in the United States for more than 30 years. It used to be a different country. I do not recognize this country anymore. And this is probably one of the symptoms, not symptoms, indications of the collapse, which is already happening. And yeah, it's implosion. That is why MAGA crowd, and as I already stated, there are even people from the Democrats, the same people who actually played a very huge role in electing and promoting those people into their position of power. Even they say this must stop. Too bad. It is too late, because the whole world knows that the United States, the same as London, is pedophile center. How are you going to talk with those people? You do not want to shake their head. They should be behind bars. They will not be, and it will be covered up again, and that will completely destroy the remnants of any trust which society needs to have to function properly. But then again, United States was in decline for a while now. It's just that everything now is coming up like this, and Russia Gate, yeah, we knew this. Capitol Hill, Washington D.C. That's yeah. Look at U.S. British oligarchs. They're perverts. Oh my God, as if we didn't know what was happening. Yeah, there you go. And what can I say? It's sad, but it's the reality. So now the State Department has to take the brunt. No, it's actually not quite that, because the only thing he can do is to impose 100% taxes on the countries which buy Russian oil. Guess what which already happened? A response from China to just go screw yourself. And it's going to hurt the United States way more than Russia. Russians are ready for any contingency. Look what happened in 30 years. They destroyed everything, stole everything, so they robbed everything, and there you go. So it's not that big of a deal. And there is hysteria in Kiev. I need to read it completely on this article. That's why I had to subscribe to this rag. You cannot even use it as the toilet paper, the New York Times. But even they just published something which talks about relatively objectively about what they try to do in Kursk, especially against the civilians. So there's a hysteria, obviously, and they probably understand. Zelensky understands that he was in this position for a long time now. He is, as you can see yourself, he is not normal mentally, and he knows probably, or if he doesn't know, he definitely senses that he's a dead man walking, and it's just a matter of how he will be offed, either just politically and physically, because obviously Washington is interested now it's all legerdemain on part of Trump administration, because they still exercise this idea that they can somehow change the outcome. They can't. But the only thing they can do, because they're not very bright,